Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another Raymarc Solutions webinar. Raymarc is highly repeatable, best practice IT system management and service delivery. We strive to satisfy the ever-increasing demand to cut cost, increase efficiencies, and align ourselves with the goals of your business. BMC Service Desk Express is sunsetting at the end of 2017, and support will no longer be available. If you have SDE, contact us at 844-FLYCAST, that's 844-359-2278, and we can successfully migrate you to another solution that best fits your business's needs.
Today's webinar is BMC Client Management, Patch and New Features, presented by Emil Escarraman. Emil is a very important part of the Flycast Partners Level 1 team and remote administration. He has been in the IT industry for over 14 years and has worked extensively with AssetCore since it was released back in version 9 and has been supporting it since its release. Emil has provided Tier 3 support to corporations all over North and South America and the Raymarc software's products, which include Trackit, Raymarc Patch Manager, Raymarc Deploy, Network Monitor, Raymarc Asset Management Platform, all while at BMC. At Flycast Partners, he continues to be a premier support specialist to all of our customers. And without further ado, I'm going to turn this presentation over to none other than Emil Escarraman. Good afternoon, Emil.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Rich, for that little presentation there. I really appreciate it. And let me go ahead and share my screen. Okie dokie. I'm assuming you guys are seeing. Excellent.
Looks great.
All right. Well, thank you very much again, Rich. Good afternoon, folks. Today, I'm going to be talking about the patch management module, okay, which is one of the most used modules and one of the most popular items in the client management suite for the BMC client management program. Patch management, basically, and just to give you a little bit of background, back in the days in Raymarc, Raymarc used to be a reseller of different types of programs. One of them was a patch manager, which was a resale of Schafflich's patch manager product. And over time, Raymarc decided to kind of integrate everything in one particular product, and this is how the asset management / client management program came to be. Patch management has always been an integral part of the offerings that Raymarc / BMC wanted to have for their customers to provide a level of security and making sure that all of your devices in your network were updated with the latest fixes and patches from multiple partners like Microsoft, Java, Adobe, Firefox, etc. So that's basically what patch management is. Patch management, basically what it does is it makes sure from a centralized location, it makes sure that all of your devices have the latest fixes that are available so that all of your devices are compliant with the latest security hotfixes, critical hotfixes for different programs, etc. So let me go ahead and give you a breakdown of what the patch management module is. As you guys can see here on the left, this is the module expanded right now. And let's go ahead and start off with the first one, which is the patch manager itself. Okay, the patch manager is the device that will contain the repository for all of the patches received from the internet as well as the main repository for what is called the knowledge base database. Okay, so in the configuration here, we can see, one second, there is refreshing there. Let's wait for a moment there for it to come up. Hold on a second. My remote session decided all of a sudden to stop. Give me one moment there. Okay. Are you guys still able to see the screen, Rich? Might be a little bit
Yes,
blurry.
I see it fine. No, it looks fine. You're good.
Okay. Okay. So sorry about that little delay there, folks. I'm actually remoting into a remote computer, so there might be a little bit of a lag there. But as I was saying, the Patch Manager is the device that contains all of your downloaded patches, as well as the knowledge base repository. And here is where you will configure when to get that knowledge base. The system works by comparing the latest signature files for patches, and it compares them to what the system currently has via the agents. So what happens is that the master server, or whichever device you're using as the patch manager, by default is the master, but it could be any other type of device in your organization. It could be the relay, it could be a client as the patch manager. If you want to take that load off the master server and put it on some other device, any device with a client can be a patch manager. In this case, it's my master server. So the master server is going to be receiving the knowledge base on a schedule. I actually have it set to check every day at 11 p.m., which is basically the standard setting for it to receive the latest signature files from Shaflic, which is the provider of those signature files. We use Shaflic's signatures so that we can go ahead and make the comparisons. Once we have the latest information in the bulletin, which is basically the version that you see here, it will tell you also that it is up to date as well when you do the check, or it might tell you that it's not up to date if there's something new out there, and then it'll proceed with the download. Once you have that information, you can then decide how you're going to proceed with patching your products. What will happen is that if we go here for a sec to the patch detection, and I already set up for a couple of devices here in my network so that you have an idea on how the system actually does the scans. So as you can see here, we have a couple of devices in my network that are currently missing critical patches. We have one device that's missing 2 critical patches. We also have 2 other devices that are missing 1 each. And then I purposely created this particular machine here with a strange name. I purposely created this machine from scratch so that you could see how many patches it could actually detect. In this case, this machine is missing 48 critical patches. Now, if you want to go into the details of how many patches are truly missing on a device, what you would do here is, if you go under Scan Devices and then select the device in question and expand the device, and then go to Missing Patches, okay? There's 48 critical patches, like the system indicated, but in reality, and again, folks, this is a brand new machine, but I just wanted to kind of give you an idea. This machine is actually missing 256 patches, okay? And it will give you a listing of all the patches that are currently missing by severity. You know, we have your critical patches. We also have your important patches. We have low severity patches as well as moderates, and we have unrated patches. The unrated patches are basically the type of patches that Microsoft releases on the offside. Some of these unrated patches are available from the Microsoft Windows Update, but in some cases they may not be available directly from Microsoft Windows Updates. That's one of the things that Patch Manager has, is that with those signature files, the signature files basically captures every single possible patch that Microsoft may have released. You should be able to see them. If the machine is missing it, of course, you should be able to see it in the list. There are no other programs in this particular device, but keep in mind that you can also patch third-party programs. Like I mentioned earlier, you can do Java, you can do Firefox, you can do Adobe, you can do Silverlight. It's one of the other ones that you can do, as well as some other programs like Exchange, for example. You can do Office patches, and I believe you can even do some Corel products as well. To find out about the products that you can patch, we go back again to the Patch Manager, and you will see a section here for Bulletins by product. And these are pretty much all of the potential patches that you could do. There's Hewlett-Packard, Google, EMC. You can do Autodesk, BizTalk Server. If your company happens to have any of these products, Patch Manager can actually go ahead, get the signature file, and tell you, hey, you're missing a patch. You can even do VMware. Like if you, I know that a patch appeared for VMware for some of my virtual devices. It was asking me to patch the VMware. It's called the VMware Assistance, or the VMware Tools. That's the one that it was actually calling to patch. You can actually see it on the list if you so want, if it is a patch that's actually missing. So it is very versatile when it comes to patching software. A couple of things to keep in mind though is, since this is a patcher, okay, the patcher is only going to patch from within its own major version. So for example, if you install, let's say for example, Java 8, which is the current version of Java that's out there right now, you install it from scratch, okay? Every single fix for Java 8 that Java releases, okay, Patch Manager will take care of patching that product for you, okay? But if Java releases version 9 of the product, okay, version 9 is not going to be patched by Patch Manager, okay? And that's a confusion that happens a lot, and it's perfectly understandable, because you're thinking, you know, for all intents and purposes, it looks like a patch, but the system would not see it as so. It looks basically the changes in the minor version for the most part, and that's how it proceeds to do the patch. But if they release Java 9, right, the only way that you will be able to deploy Java 9 will be to actually use the software deployment module for client management to deploy the program as a brand new install. Once you have the program installed there, again, any updates that are done for Java 9, then the system will go ahead and patch it, okay? The only exception that I know that's not the case, the only exception will be Firefox, because Firefox, when they release a patch, or at least in the past, the way that they normally would do it, is that they will call it, you know, Firefox 28, and then it will be Firefox 29. That will be the patch. Patch Manager was able to see that type of change, and based on the signature, and say, okay, well, this is actually a patch. So if you happen to have Firefox installed on your computer, and it happens to be like it looks like a major version, Patch Manager will be able to take it, and that's the only program that I know will be the exception for the rule. Everybody else, these little programs like Adobe, Flash, and all of that, if there is a brand new major version of them, you have to install the major version, either using the client management software deployment or whichever third-party program that you have available for such tasks. So this is just an idea of the patches that you can actually deploy using Patch Manager. One of the things that you can do also with Patch Manager is, if we go back again to the device in question, since this is a perfect example because there are a lot of missing patches here. I've known of companies that are very, very particular with the patches that they deploy. Okay, it could be because they may be running a proprietary program, and if you install a specific patch, it may conflict with that program. Some patches may not necessarily be required for the company to be installed until further testing is done. So rather than coming in here and say, okay, let's go ahead and patch these 256 patches, what you can do here is that you can also evaluate and see, based on the bulletin name and the patch name, which patches you want to keep and which patches you don't want to deploy in your organization. That's what we called hiding the bulletins. And I don't know if you guys saw in this listing here, you probably saw this little fella here where it says hidden bulletins. So what hidden bulletins does is, if you look at your patches, and let's do an example here, and we're going to hide these two patches here. We're going to MSWU 1010 and 1011. So we're going to select these patches. We're going to right click and then select the option to hide bulletin. It's going to ask you if you want to enter any remarks. This is purely optional, but for now, we're going to go ahead and say that this is for presentation purposes. Okay, we'll go ahead and click OK. Notice that the count changed, so now we're missing 254 patches. If we go to hidden bulletins, and we just only have to do is just do affected devices here, and it'll be able to find them. Let's go that, fine. And these are our two hidden bulletins. You can review your hidden bulletins here. Okay, and if it so happens that you do some testing, you install it, and you say, okay, this patch is not causing any problems, you can simply come back here, and then you can select the patch that you want to unhide, and then click on the option to unhide the bulletin. Now, this is going to apply to every single machine out there in your organization, okay, that is missing these two particular patches. You can use one device, you can use one device for reference, or there's some other ways that you can actually see patching information. Like, for example, if we go under device groups, and notice that I have a little domain set up here. Okay, so if we expand the group, and if we go under inventory, and if we go under patch, and if we go under missing patches, okay, it's going to ask you how you want to see the patches. You want to see it by name, by product family, by reason, or by severity. So for now, we're going to do it by severity, and then we're going to select the critical patches. Okay, so here in this list, you're going to see the critical patches that are affecting the devices under this group. Now remember, the one device that has the 254 patches missing, it is not part of this particular group. That's the reason why you're seeing so few here. But if we go through the list here, if you select the device, if you select the patch, right down below, it will tell you the device or devices that are missing that patch. So if we go here, that's only one device. If we go here, that's only one device as well. But these two particular patches here are missing by one device, and this one here is missing by another device. If we were talking about a bigger group or a bigger number of patches, you will see, if you select one of these here, you will see multiple devices for the ones that are affected by that patch. So that's just one of the ways that you can actually do it. And if you want to hide the patch, you can basically go ahead and click Fix, and it will allow you to configure it here so that you can go ahead and, oh, wait a minute, maybe not. Hold on, let me go back here. There was a way that you can hide them here, unless they actually changed it for me. No, actually, I don't think you can hide them from here. You can hide them from the individual selection, or you can hide them from the search here, because these are other types of searches. So if we do affected devices and do find, okay, these are all the patches that are missing for all affected devices in the scan. So you can come here and then say, okay, I want to hide this particular bulletin, and then you can hide it from this particular view as well. So it's pretty flexible when it comes to being able to manage your patches, which ones you want to deploy, which ones you don't really want to deploy, and then make determinations from there. So now that we got that part down for evaluating, looking at the patches, looking at what's missing, looking at what you can hide, and looking at patches from a device group and seeing which devices are missing there, the next thing that we want to do is talk about the type of deployments that you can do with the module. After version, I would like to say 11.6 of what was then called Footprints Asset Core. Okay, it was introduced. A feature was introduced in patch management called patch jobs. Okay, which is this folder here that I'm going to take you to momentarily. So what patch jobs does is it allows you to schedule patches to be deployed to systems as the system scans for these missing patches, and then starts finding the patches based on the specified criteria of the patch job. So I'm going to give you a quick demonstration here so that you guys can see it. So if we could do right click and then do create a patch job, what's going to happen is that it's going to do a wizard. So we're going to do PCM presentation, and then click next. This is the criteria, okay? So as you scan devices, so let's say, for example, I scanned these devices here, okay? And we found that, you know, Bumblebee has 2 missing patches. Megatron has 1 missing patch, and these are critical patches. And then the Wind Machine had 42, 43 missing patches, okay? If you're only concerned about immediately patching, let's say, critical patches, okay, you can do so with the patch job, okay? So here's where you will set up the criteria for it. The severity, whether you want to do the critical, if you want to include the importance, the moderates in there, you can do so. You also have the option to do low and unrated if you just want to go ahead and start patching everything and catch up, because that's one of the good things about patch jobs too, is that if your organization is a little behind when performing patches, the patch jobs can take care of deploying everything automatically as the machines starts coming on, and depending on the schedule that you set up, it'll start automatically patching these devices for you on the specified schedule. You can also choose the type of patches that you want to do. So let's assume, for example, that we just want to do critical and security patches, okay, and then here you can always either do always patch the full list of products, or you can only patch the selected products. So if you're more concerned about, let's say, patching Windows, okay, we scroll down, and you can choose the version of Windows that you wish to patch. Sorry, it's a little bit laggy there. Give me 1 second so I can take you down here. So the most commonplace Windows right now is Windows 7. But you can also do Windows 8. You can do Windows 8.1, and I'm pretty sure that when Windows 10 hits in July, I am pretty sure that any patches from that point forward that starts getting released for Windows 10, they're going to get included in here as well. So we're going to do Windows 7, and then go ahead and click Next. And this is the part where you will set up the schedule. Now, notice here that you can actually wake up devices. So if your network card or your computer is configured for wake on LAN capability, okay, and if you really want to patch those devices, whether the device is off or not, if you set this option to wake up the device, the system will send the patch manager will send a magic packet to the device first, to make sure that the machine wakes up or it turns on, okay? And then once the machine is on, during that schedule, it's going to proceed with doing the patches. Now, there are a couple of schedules that we're talking about here. We got monthly schedules. You can do this daily if you want. You can do it weekly on specific dates. So if you want to do it weekly, let's say on these days except for Tuesday, you have the option to do so. If you want to do Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you can choose so this way. Or if you want to do something like on the weekends, if you can't patch during the week, but you need to patch over the weekends, you can then select Saturday and Sunday, and the system will take into account that particular schedule. You can even do monthly. So if you want to do like on the second Tuesday of the month, which is when roughly around the time when new patches are getting released, that's your choice. You can do it then, or if you want to do it at the end of the month, like if you want to do it on the fourth week of the month, and let's say on Wednesday or Saturday or whichever, you can actually do so as well. The next thing is the time. Okay, you have a couple of options. You have either the option to be able to download the patch files prior to the start time. What the system will do is that the system will scan your devices, notice that you're missing patches, and based on the criteria that you specify, it'll say, okay, let me go ahead and start sending these patches now, okay? Or you can set it so that the patches starts downloading at the time of at the start time itself, okay? It's recommended, or the best practice is that you allow the files to be downloaded. But of course, you may have some network constraints that may not allow you to do so during normal business hours. So you can always have the option to not download the files until the actual start time. Okay, so we're going to leave it as allow files to be downloaded, and we're going to set it now. In most cases, for example, people like to do it after hours, and after hours normally is between 7 p.m. until 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning for most companies. You know, it may not be necessarily your case, but let's say, for example, you want to start at 7 p.m. where you know everybody leaves at 6. You know, everybody is gone for the day, and nobody is gonna be there. You can start off at 7 p.m. and then normally I like to set it up so that there's an end time, because if you do no end time, what will happen is that the system is going to start patching at 7 p.m. in the evening, and it'll continue running until it is done. So you want to be careful depending on, you know, your schedule and what's after hours supposed to be. You don't want people in the middle of the day contacting you saying, hey, why is my machine rebooting all the time? So we're going to set an end time, and normally what I like to do is I like to set it, let's say, for example, for 4 or 5 a.m. That gives the system plenty of time to catch up with any other patches that are still going out there after the time has passed, so that when your people start coming in at around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, they'll be able to log in and not have any problems with the system's rebooting on them or patching during the day. And then if we do next, at this point here is where you would either assign the device group that you want to do this with, or you can assign individual devices. So if we go under assign device group, you will see the devices in question, the device groups in question that you can assign. If you want to do by individual devices, just simply click on Assign Device. The same window will appear, but rather than actually doing a group, you can do all, and then you can select the devices that you wish to do. So once you select an individual device, and then you click on Finish, that patch job is going to get set. And any devices missing any critical patches, they're going to start deploying at 7 p.m. in the evening, and the patch job will end at 5 o'clock in the morning. All right. One other thing that I wanted to cover with you guys, I'm not gonna activate this. We're gonna go back again to the beginning. By default, the system is set to provide an information window saying that patches are starting. The patches are going to run in quiet mode, so people will not be seeing the progress of the patches going on their screen, and to also reboot after installation. If for some reason you don't want the devices to reboot, okay, you can always change its preferences here by going into the preferences window, and then a preferences window is going to show up with the information that you want to put. So for example, if you want to do on the display window, if you leave it empty, it's going to do a standard message which says the system is about to apply the security update. If you want to put your own message, you have the chance to actually put it here, and you even have the option to allow the user to extend the countdown timer. But normally the countdown timer is for 5 seconds. It's a small window that appears. It displays the message saying, hey, patches are about to go, and then it just immediately disappears. For the installation itself, preferable to do it in quiet mode, but if you want people to see the patches running, if you uncheck that, then the system will take care of setting all of the patch files and the respective switches to not run in quiet mode, and people will start seeing patches running on their screen. This is obviously checked by default, but you always have the option to do so. Now, I also have the option to stop the patching if there's an error. It's like if any patch is running and there's an error, the system will immediately interrupt the patch. You also have the option to lock the mouse and keyboard on the client device. So if, let's say, for example, Jimmy in accounting has a machine that hasn't been patching ages, and you really want him to patch the device, and you don't want him to touch anything, you have the option to go ahead and lock the mouse and keyboard on the client device. He won't be able to do anything until that machine is done. Okay. you also have retry attempts as well. So the patch job, if for some reason the patch job fails, it will attempt to retry. The standard is 5 times, and then once, if the 5th time it doesn't work, then the patch job is going to stop. Errors will be maybe logged, and then at that point we need to take a look and see what happened there. Finally, the reboot, and this is probably one of the most interesting ones here, because there's a lot of options here. Now, like I said, you have the option to say no reboot, and these options are all going to disappear. There's no reboot. You'll install the patch, and it'll be done. Now, keep in mind, though, most of these patches, specifically the Microsoft patches, they require a reboot. So if in order for some other patches to continue installing, or for the system to detect if there's anything else missing, sometimes those systems require a reboot. So just keep that in mind if you're doing Microsoft patches. I know Java, I know Adobe patches, I know Firefox. For the most part, they don't require a reboot. But most of Windows patches, everybody knows that there's going to be a patch in there somewhere that's going to require a reboot. So you want to make sure that if you're doing Windows patches, that you do a reboot after deployment. Now, you have some other options available to you when you do the reboot. So, for example, if it reboots, you can actually set it to actually shut down the machine. So if you're patching devices in the middle of the night and you want to shut down the machine, you can go ahead and do so here. You can display a reboot dialog if you want. I believe this one by default it'll say that the machine, something along the lines of the machine is rebooting, and you can also do the option to do a shutdown initiated by user. Now, you can do either end user interaction or to reboot after log off. Okay, what reboot after log off is if, let's say, for example, a machine it's being patched in the middle of the day, and you don't want to interrupt the work that this person is doing. The person has the option that when they log off their machine, okay, they'll be able to the machine will reboot automatically, and then apply any reboot changes that needed to be done with the patches. It'll get applied then. If you want to have the user have control of the reboot, there's some options under the enable end user interaction that would allow you to help. Like, for example, you can tell the user to cancel the reboot. So if, again, the example of the middle of the day patching, if something happens that a patch gets deployed in the middle of the day and you have that option checked, they'll get a prompt saying, hey, the machine is about to reboot. But they'll get a button on the prompt saying, cancel the reboot. If they click on that button, the window will go away, the machine will not get rebooted, and they can continue on their day. Once they're done, if they shut down or if they restart the machine, then at that point the patch options are going to get applied. So they're basically responsible for making sure that the machine is restarted. And I think I believe there's in the prompt it says that the user is responsible for rebooting the device. If the person disconnects, okay. And I believe that has something to do with logging off as well. If the person logs off, it'll reboot. Force reboot if the session is locked. So if the person leaves for the day and rather than shutting down the machine, they lock up the workstation, okay, it'll force a reboot once the session is locked. And then there's some options here that allows the user to extend the countdown. And like I said, there's a window pops up with a timer. And by default, is the default timer is 2 minutes. Okay. The default timer for increment is another 2 minutes. And the maximum that a person can increment by default is 5 minutes. Okay. So allowing the user to extend the countdown timer if the user wants to go ahead and do the reboot will allow them to extend the timer to 5 minutes by default, or you can change this to be 10 minutes for the maximum, and basically they can click on extend five times, and that will give them 10 minutes for them to do what they need to do, and then reboot the machine. So those are some of the options that you have available there. Now, let me go ahead and cancel this. I'm going to cancel the patch deployment because we set it to run at 7 o'clock. I'm pretty sure a lot of people here don't want to wait until 7 o'clock for this to start going. So we're going to go ahead and cancel this for now. But I want to show you the original method of patching, which is the actual patch deployment. The patch deployment is a little bit more on demand. So if you want to immediately deploy patches to devices, this is the way that you want to do it. Okay, you still have the option in the scheduling of the patches to say, okay, I want to delay this by maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, or so on. But this is the most on-demand option that you have available, because here you can select any patch that you want and deploy at any time that you want. So I have a couple of patch groups here. That's basically how the system categorizes items in patch deployment. And we're going to go ahead and work with one pretty quick. And what we're going to do here is we're going to we'll do it this way. So we're going to go into this machine that's missing patches, and we're going to go ahead and do just a couple, just in the interest of time, so that you guys can see it. Right click. We're going to do fix. Okay. It's going to create, let's go ahead and create this new patch group there. Deploy patches immediately. The system is going to reboot and it's going to show the information window. We're not gonna make any changes to it. And then we're gonna go ahead and click finish. We're gonna go to the patch group. Okay. And right now it's building. Again, I wanted to make it very small, very simple, so you guys could see it. And the machine that's going to get patched is actually this workstation here. Okay. I wish I could have like two screens so I can go ahead and show you some other items while the program is building the patches and deploying, but I wanted you to kind of like get an idea on what the user would look for if patches are getting ran. And we're kind of running a little bit out of time too, but let's see if this guy will go ahead and show us what we need to see. So while we're waiting for, see here, it's still building. Nope. Go refresh this. Back here for a second, yeah. So as you can see, these patches are being gathered. The system is downloading them from the internet right now, and it's gathering them right now and getting them ready for deployment. When we look under the devices, right now in the details, it is showing as not being activated. Once the system finishes downloading the patches and is ready, then the details are going to change to I believe it goes to is ready for deployment or patches available. So while we're waiting for the system to gather the information, I wanted to show you guys some other things on the side that you can do with the program. I haven't talked much about queries and reports in the past. So status change, I have to give it a second. It'll go ahead and give us a patch count shortly. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, guys, today, it's queries and reports. Queries and reports basically allows you to not only build out device groups with queries, you can also build out report information with these queries as well. So in the reports, if we expand this, and again, this is this is probably one of the other features that get used a lot is the actual reporting in client management. You have so many options available for reporting that you can do out of the box. Like for example, for each particular module, you can do application usage, you can do compliance, distribution statistics, financial asset management. You can even do reporting on patches, and I'm going to show you that momentarily because they work with these particular patch groups. Speaking of patch groups, let's take a look here pretty quick and see if my machine is actually doing anything. Maybe, maybe not. Let me see here. Refresh that. Okay, so the transfer is in progress. And while this is going, so with these reports, not only you have some reports out of the box that you can use, but you can actually build your own reports. So let's say, for example, I mean, we have a global device list, but let's say, for example, that you wanna report that will show you all of your devices that have Windows 8 or Windows 7 on the network. So what you can do here is, if we go under reports, we create a report, and this is basically your report creation window. And Windows, let's do Windows devices for now. Okay, and this is the actual title of the report as well. You want to put that there. There's different styles, as you can see here. There are a total, I believe there's a total of 14 styles. The style, what that is you have the option to use style 1, which is basically just a listing of items, but you can also do different styles that would allow you to do basically some other type of reporting within the report itself, like, for example, graphs. If you want to include a graph in the report, if you want to include additional information in the report, you can choose the style that you want to use and then work with the individual sub-reports as you see fit. For now, we're going to just leave it as the simple style, which is the style 1 here. And most of these items you don't really need to change. We'll go ahead and click OK. And then if we go under Windows devices, let's go ahead and expand that guy. Let's go under sub-reports, sub-report 1. Let me go back again for a second. Sorry, I'm going back and forth. Let's go here. Oh, no, sorry. Let's go here. Let's do, yeah, that should be ready there. This one's in transferring in progress, and it's actually installing. So we probably missed the window. But as you can see, it's set to run in quiet mode, so that's what the user wouldn't see. And I apologize. I wish I had multiple windows for me to show you multiple items. But basically, they would have seen our information window saying, "Hey, patches are about to be installed," and then hopefully we will be able to see the window for the reboot. So going back to the report, if we go to the sub-report and then do the columns, and then here is where you will select the query. So if we look for, here we go. Okay, so these are pre-made queries that are available to you when you install the program. But if you want to build your own query, you can do so as well. You can either build a query with a defined criteria, or you can either build a SQL query. There will be some constraints when it comes to some of the commands that you can use, and the system will tell you. But you have the option to either use one of the existing ones or use a query of your own. So we're going to go ahead and work with Windows 8.1 devices. And let's say that you want to see the name of the device. We're gonna say you want to see the IP address of the device. And 1 second, let me see. Yeah, it's because this copy is not activated. Okay, she still should be patching. Okay, so, and let's say, for example, that you want to see let's say the topology type, which is for the client. I'm thinking this device, since it's not activated, it's one of my Windows 7 copies, but I didn't activate it because I already have it activated on another computer. It may be possible that it may not be allowing me to patch it. That I never heard of it not being able to patch, but we'll check and see if it restarts. So going back to the report. So we're going to work on these 3 types of data. Go ahead and click OK. And if we go to the report itself, generate the report, and go under the report's results here. Again, pretty simple. If we do a view, I don't have any devices with Windows 8.1. That's okay. Let's say, for example, I know that I have, and this is one of the patch management summary reports that you can see for missing patches as well. So you got 2 devices, Windows 7, that are missing patches, 2 devices with Windows 2012 as well. So just an example. This is one of the template-based reports that you can also use as well, so that you can see the information firsthand. And if you need to show it to somebody or forward the information to somebody, you can do so via email, or you can do so by sending them the link to the report. So let's go ahead and close that out. That's another example of a report as well. At the time, I didn't have any patches available, so that's the reason why you're seeing all of these no's there. So let's go back here. Aha, here's the reboot. Okay, so you can do the options right now the way that I have it set. You can extend the timer like so. This is the 5-minute max that I mentioned to you. Okay, so the person can extend the timer if they want to, and then save their work and then proceed with the reboot, or you can do a reboot now. Click OK. And then the machine is going to proceed with the portion of the update as needed. Okay, so let me wrap up the reporting part here pretty quick. So I know I have a couple of Windows 7 devices. So let's go ahead and change the query. As simple as say, hey, what about my Windows 7 devices? Simple. Change the query to Windows 7 devices, and then we're going to go ahead and generate the report. Say yes. Refresh that. That's our new report. And if we do view, again, a very basic example, but you have a lot of flexibility when working with queries and building reports. In most cases, I haven't heard of anybody using a third-party program when they want to report out of the client management. Client management can pretty much provide them with all of the information that they need, provided, of course, the information is in the database. That's pretty much the limit. Everything else, you pretty much can gather that information from the report. So that's just a basic idea of reporting, something very quick. And if we go back to workstation, I know that you want me to activate, but I'm not going to do so. Okay, so the machine is rebooted. Now, what normally happens is the system will do another scan, okay, for the missing patches, and it'll make that comparison. Once it makes that comparison, the system will see that the patches that I did in the patch group are installed, and then at that point, the status of the patch changes to installation completed. It takes a little bit for it to show up, but once the system does the scan and it uploads the information with the latest data, then at that point, the status on the details is going to change from installation in progress to installation completed. And that's pretty much patching 101 in a nutshell, with a little bit of reporting on the side. And I think we're almost about we're out of time here. So go ahead, Rich, and thank you very much.
Yeah, we have definitely run out of time, Emil. Great job, and good first-hand demonstration on a couple of things. That was great.